President Joe Biden will deliver his State of the Union tonight. Experts weigh in on his address.
Rescue teams are being sent to Turkey and Syria from all around the world. Find out more about the help being offered to both countries.
LA County supervisors approve new gun laws in the aftermath of the Monterey Park shooting. Learn more about the new regulations.
Annenberg TV News is next.
In just 30 minutes, President Biden will deliver a State of the Union address. Hi, I'm Gabriella Fair.
I'm Jose Romo. It will be interesting to see if the president receives support from a divided Congress. California Representative and newly elected Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, will sit behind President Biden as he delivers his address this evening. President Biden is expected to lay out his plan for the economy, immigration, and other international affairs.
Washington Post columnist Jason Willick joins us live from Washington, D.C. with more on what we can expect from the president's address. Welcome, Jason.
I'm a California native, but here in Washington now.
So I just wanted to start off by saying President Biden has promised unifying polarization here in America, and we just want to know, what do you think he should do in his State of the Union address to try to bridge that gap between both parties to work collaboratively across the aisle?
Well, I think President Biden came into office in 2021 with the idea that he was going to be a bipartisan president, someone who had decades of experience working with Republicans, somebody who was more moderate than his chief rival in the nomination battle, Bernie Sanders. But I think once the Democrats unexpectedly won those Georgia Senate seats and won control of the House, they governed in a more partisan way. They had a 50-50 Senate, but got a lot of their agenda through on a 51 vote to 50 margin. And so I think, President Biden would need to really recalibrate if he wants to start running for 2024 with sort of a different tone. And that would mean, not sounding as partisan when it comes to culture war issues.
Thank you, Jason. And so we know that President Biden has pretty much created a very ambitious agenda addressing the opioid crisis, mental health, veteran support, and cancer research. And we just want to know, what do you think that he should do going forward to try to make a more collaborative support? How do you think he should bridge that gap between a divided Congress to try to get those initiatives passed? And yes.
Sure. Well, I think those issues that you mentioned, mental health, cancer research, opioids, et cetera, those are going to be less partisan. Those are things that have support on both sides. I think, maybe there would need to be some concessions offered on the debt limit. I mean, I think that Republicans who control the House are looking to get some spending controls in place in exchange for raising the debt limit. I think Democrats are not inclined to do that, but I think that's one of the things that would have to be done if you were serious about bipartisanship. I also think the executive orders would need to be pared back. Things like the student loan cancellation or the vaccine mandate that Republicans opposed. I think the president would need to work with Congress instead of going around Congress.
And so finally, we just want to know, the government is discussing pretty much ending the public health emergency around COVID. How do you think that is going to play out going forward with Americans just feeling, safe in being able to have access to those resources?
Well, I think that the COVID, public health emergency is a term of art. It's both a legal term and a health term and a constitutional term. Emergency means different things to different people. I think some people in the president's party still think that, the emergency should stay in place, because that would be giving short shrift to the hundreds of people who are dying if you lifted the emergency. I personally think it's a good thing to lift the emergency. We have gotten the virus to a place where it's manageable, and I think Americans will be glad to the extent that the masks are coming down and the mandates are easing a little bit in more areas of their lives. Because I think, in practice, Americans have gone back to their normal lives.
Thank you so much for your time, Jason.
Sure.
Guests at tonight's State of the Union include a survivor of last month's mass shooting in Monterey Park. Brendan Say wrestled the gun away from the shooter. He's one of President Biden's personal guests tonight. Earlier today, guests from the Monterey Park community were honored by the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. Representative Judy Chu welcomed them to Washington, D.C.
I'm honored to host today's KPAC reception to recognize the grief experienced by my hometown, Monterey Park, California, in advance of the President's State of the Union address to Congress this evening.
Two other guests from Monterey Park will join Say. California Senator Alex Padilla invited former Monterey Park Mayor Henry Lowe, and Congresswoman Chu invited Julie Fun. Her aunt was one of the 11 people killed last month. President Biden is expected to make gun control one of the key topics in his State of the Union address.
LA Mayor Karen Bass spoke today about federal policies aimed at reducing homelessness and substance abuse. She hopes the president addresses these issues.
In the State of the Union, everybody's always looking to see if the president's going to mention their issue. So you better believe I'm going to be listening to see if he references that 25% reduction. And then I also think just the economy and housing in general. So all of that, hopefully.
Another political expert thinks President Biden will use this evening to tee up his 2024 re-election campaign.
You know that the theme is finish the job, and Biden's looking out at the next 2 years, and he's setting the stage for his 2024 re-election, which he's going to announce in the next few weeks. And so he's going to, all of the issues that he talks about this evening are going to be in the context of finishing the work he started. And I think when you listen to the president, you want to listen for that.
President Biden will deliver his State of the Union address tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders will deliver the Republican response to the speech.
The Coalition for Humane Immigrants' Rights of LA says the Biden administration has failed immigrants and refugees. They're asking the president to keep families together and create a path to citizenship. Protesters chanted outside of the Filipino Workers Center ahead of Biden's State of the Union address. Political director of the coalition says Biden has failed to keep his campaign promises.
We've noticed over the past 2 years is that President Biden is failing on delivering anything meaningful and positive when it comes to immigration and immigration reform. He made a lot of promises in the campaign trail, and we've yet to see any of those promises fulfilled. And what we're demanding is that we continue fighting for immigration reform.
The coalition wants Biden to prioritize immigration rights after years of focusing on COVID and the economy.
Countries are coming together to provide rescue teams and additional support for the areas affected by the 7.8 magnitude earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria. Nearly 8,000 people have died. Upwards of 78,000 people in Turkey have been rescued so far. Survivors are still being pulled from the rubble more than 24 hours later. More than 53,000 search and rescue personnel have been deployed to Turkey, along with 5,000 health workers to help in the aftermath of the massive quake. Nearly 100 Los Angeles firefighters, along with 6 specially trained dogs, are on their way to Turkey. An earthquake expert says now is the time for California to get ready. Reporter Nia Harris has more on what resources are available to USC students.
John Vidali is a USC professor of geophysics and an expert in earthquakes. He says it's important to be ready if an earthquake strikes Southern California.
During an earthquake, people are recommended to not run away, to try to get under a table, duck, cover, and hold is our recommendation until the shaking subsides. Be aware that there might be aftershocks. Be aware that earthquakes might trigger landslides, and if you're at the coast, a big earthquake might trigger a tsunami. So there's a lot of things to remember.
Here at USC, many students aren't sure of what to do if an earthquake occurs.
I'm not sure of any resources, or I'm also not originally from California, so I'm not used to earthquakes at all. I think I experienced my first earthquake like last year for the first time, and I had no idea what to do. So I would like to see more resources.
I also felt my first one last year in my dorm, and I didn't even process that it was an earthquake until I found out from asking my roommates.
There are resources available about what to do in the event of an earthquake.
The simplest thing is to go to the USGS webpage or the Southern California Earthquake Center webpage, where they can find lots of documents. One lesson from today is that Turkey has just the same kind of earthquakes as we do here in California. We call it a strike-slip fault, and there are only a few places in the world that have faults like that right through the cities. So we watch Turkey and New Zealand carefully, because what they had today, we could have tomorrow.
All the more reason to get the latest information and be as prepared as possible for an earthquake. For Annenberg Media, I'm Nia Harris.
The LA County Board of Supervisors unanimously approved 4 new gun laws following the mass shooting in Monterey Park. Reporter John Walker went to the board meeting and has reaction.
Couldn't believe, like most people, that just 38 days of the new year, this country has endured about 60 mass shooting incidents.
The LA County Board of Supervisors took up multiple gun control proposals. It passed ordinances prohibiting the sale of .50 caliber firearms and ammunition and carrying guns on county property. Monterey Park Representative Supervisor Hilda Solis authored today's measures with help from Supervisors Janice Hahn and Lindsay Horvath. While many of those in attendance today were in support of these proposals, there were a few opponents, one of which thinks the Board of Supervisors is taking up the wrong issue.
Look at Switzerland, where every household has multiple guns. They have a very low murder rate. Why? Well, partly because everyone has a gun, but also partly because they have an incredible social network. They have an economy that's managed for the benefit of their citizens as opposed to the top 1%. We need a safety net.
The board also called for new proposals creating a 1,000-foot buffer zone between gun stores and places with children, like parks and schools, banning minors in gun stores, and residents safely locking their guns. Members from Moms Demand Action attended today's meeting and support the gun lock proposal.
Well, a lot of the places where I went with the tabling, we were giving out gun locks. People were snatching them up. We have a lot of gun owners coming to us. They say, yeah, I own a gun, but this makes sense.
Voting on these new proposals will take place at the Supervisors Board meeting later this month. For Annenberg Media, I'm John Walker.
Still ahead, find out how USC students are balancing school and life as we get closer to the midterms.
Martin King's daughter came to USC Annenberg today to share her story as part of Voices of a Movement.
And LeBron James is hunting for the all-time scoring tonight against the Thunder. We'll go live to CryptoArena.com.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
The USC Charlotta Bass Journalism and Justice Lab premiered the Voices of a Movement series with special guest Laura King, daughter of Rodney King. Reporter Mariela Gomez talked with King about her father's legacy and the impact she wants her story to have.
The killing of Tyree Nichols has reignited and enraged the conflict between police and Black communities. More than 3 decades ago, Rodney King was a victim of police brutality. He was an African-American man, and the videotaped recording of King came to symbolize police violence. Now his daughter, Laura King, is retelling her father's story with the help of USC's new Charlotta Bass Journalism and Justice Lab, led by Professor Dr. Alyssa Richardson.
Take away from being able to have a conversation with you?
I would definitely hold people to humanize Black men.
The Bass Lab saves, studies, and shares Black media from the West Coast. They're even using artificial intelligence to bring the stories to life.
My name is Laura King, and I'm the middle child of the late great Rodney Glenn.
The Bass Lab will premiere elements of Laura King's virtual human interview. It's an account of the immediate aftermath of the brutal police assault on her father, his impact on the world, and how she's carrying on his legacy.
I brought Laura King to our school because I really want our students to learn how to tell more humanizing stories about tragic events, especially tragic events that center Black people, Black faces.
Laura King hopes that the interactive storytelling will inspire people to create a better future.
But actually to sit down and actually feel like you're engaging in conversation with a real human that's been affected by something historical, I feel like this could really take us to a different level as far as making change properly.
King emphasized unity and allyship across all groups of people. For Annenberg Media, I'm Mariela Gomez.
Los Angeles Philharmonic director Gustavo Dudamel announced today he will leave LA for New York City in 2026. The popular conductor has been dazzling sold-out crowds at Disney Hall and the Hollywood Bowl for 14 years now. Dudamel won multiple Grammys and has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now let's get to hear what the weather has in store for us. Rory, what's it looking like?
Thanks, Jose. It's time to put away those winter sweatshirts. Things are warming up here in Southern California. Let's go to our current weather. We have a perfect California temperature at 66 degrees with 28% humidity, which my hair is really feeling today. And let's go to our 5-day weather forecast to see what's to expect this week. Tomorrow we start with a high of 73 degrees and a low of 47. Tomorrow, or Thursday, we have our highest temperature at 80 degrees and a low of 49, which I know I will be planning to hit the beach on Thursday. On Friday, we have a high of 77 and a low of 51 degrees. And Saturday, it starts to cool off, and we have a high of 64 and a low of 49. And Sunday, we have a high of 67 and a low of 45. So take advantage of that warm weather while you can. Marissa, what's going on the hardwood?
Thank you, Rory. Up next on ATVN Sports, what does breaking the all-time NBA scoring record mean for LeBron's legacy? It's time to turn to the bubble as USC men's basketball turns towards the home stretch. And after a double overtime loss to Arizona, how does the final stretch line up for USC women's basketball to make the big dance? All that and more coming up on Sports.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Jeremy Cole.
And I'm Marissa Rio. LeBron James is on the brink of breaking the all-time NBA scoring record. Reporter Roth Latour is live outside Crypto.com Arena.
The Los Angeles Lakers face off against Oklahoma City Thunder in what could become a historic night for sports here in downtown LA. In his 19th season, LeBron James looks to surpass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and become the all-time leading scorer in the history of the NBA. LeBron needs only 36 points to break Abdul-Jabbar's record of 38,387 regular season points. At the age of 38, James looks to take the #1 spot with less minutes, less games played than Kareem, and with an average of 30 points a game this season. LeBron already has 9 games with 36 and over points. He could totally break the record tonight, but many speculate that he's going to leave that for Thursday when they play at home against Kareem's old team, the Milwaukee Bucks. Jeremy, Marissa, what do you guys think? Is he breaking it tonight or is he breaking it on Thursday?
Oof, I don't think he's breaking it tonight. I think he's going to break it on Thursday, but once he breaks the record, what does that mean towards his legacy?
Well, I don't know if I would call him the GOAT just yet. I mean, His Airness, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, still undefeated in the finals, so still Michael Jordan for me.
Oh, you totally left out Kareem. He had the sky hook that was totally unstoppable back in the day, and he defined a whole era in NBA basketball.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right. Kareem is a legend. In the latest edition of ESPN's Bracketology by Joe Lunardi that was released this morning, the Trojans are right on the bubble of the NCAA tournament. As of today, USC comes in at the 10 seed in the West Quadrant. They barely squeaked in as one of the last 4 byes, and their next opponent, the Oregon Ducks, are currently one of the first 4 out. The Ducks have won 6 of their last 9 and are led by senior guard Will Richardson and center N'Faly Dante. Richardson captains the offense and leads the Ducks in scoring with 14 points a game, while the 6'11 Dante is nearly averaging a double-double. In 2 days, the Trojans and the Ducks will face off in Eugene, Oregon. So Marissa, what do the Trojans need to do to secure a victory?
Well, I know there's been a lot of talks that going to Eugene is going to be a tough one, but if you look back, Oregon just had 17 turnovers in their last game, and USC scores about 15 points off of turnovers. So I actually think we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to win when you commit 17 turnovers, and as long as we can shut down Will Richardson, I think we'll be in good hands.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how they do in the pit. The USC women's basketball team is now listed as a number 8 seed in ESPN's latest bracketology. This comes after they split their last 2 games against the Arizona schools. The women of Troy tallied their 11th straight win against Arizona State Friday, 64-69. A game they absolutely had to win in order to remain in the tournament talk. On Sunday, they went neck and neck with then-ranked number 22 Arizona. The Trojans ultimately fell to the Wildcats in double overtime, 81-75. Head coach Lindsey Gottlieb shared some words after their loss.
But we don't want to ever be stagnant, right? And so, I just keep saying, if we can continue to figure things out and have it make us better, then we can go like this while other people, are really good teams are holding steady. And
the women's Pac-12 is currently an 8-bid league. If the Trojans can continue to improve like Coach Gottlieb said, and other similarly ranked teams like Oregon remain stagnant, USC can be locked in for the big dance.
With a win over the Washington Huskies this past weekend, Andy Enfield got his 200th career win as head coach of the USC men's basketball team. So let's take a look at his top 3 seasons thus far. Coming in at number 3 during the 2015-2016 season, Enfield earned his first NCAA playoff berth and swept the season series 3-0 against our crosstown rivals. At number 2, Enfield led the men of Troy on a 14-game winning streak to start the 2016-2017 season and set a program record with 26 wins. And finally, at number 1, how could we forget when Enfield led USC to the Elite 8 during the 2020-2021 season? Enfield now sports an impressive career win percentage of .617 with the Trojans and is hoping to lead the team to their fifth NCAA tournament appearance. And that's all we have for ATVN Sports. I'm Jeremy Cole.
And I'm Marissa Rio. Now tossing it back to news with Jose.
Stay tuned next to learn about the USC shuttle drivers run for a union election.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar, una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles. Rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
The USC shuttle drivers who keep students safe have filed with the National Labor Relations Board to get a better pay and benefits.
They want a union for better wages, better benefits, and eventually have a contract that they could enforce all the benefits that USC offers as well. The majority of the shuttle drivers are, got together. They signed authorization cards with SEIU Local 721, and we filed for an election, NLRB election, yesterday. And we also led a delegation of shuttle drivers to the footstep of Dr. Carol Folt's office.
SEIU 721 is the largest public sector union in Southern California and would help over 95,000 workers receive better pay and retirement benefits. The university has not commented on the drivers' attempt to unionize or how the school might respond. Now let's toss it over to Faith. Faith McGrath, on how students are pushing through as school pressure picks up again. Faith.
Thank you, Jose. Midterms are just around the corner. This week, students give us some tips and tricks on how they study hard but also take a little bit of time for themselves.
I used to think that I needed people to join me in the things I do, but I've now recently realized that true happiness starts with doing things alone and by yourself.
Doheny Library is one of the many spots at USC where students study on campus. Although study areas are useful, some students find it difficult to remain productive in the craziness and stress of midterms week.
I think it's really hard to place such a huge focus on mental health when there's constant stress of doing well, especially considering how expensive tuition is here.
Just some things that I've been doing to, kind of de-stress before midterms and stuff is definitely just prioritizing my friendships and going to hang out with friends and making sure that I keep that social aspect of my life.
Not only is it important to study hard, but students should also be taking care of themselves.
Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Gabriella Fair.
And I'm Jose Romo. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Have a good night.